It's a Samson sit down, and you would not believe who we have. Nick Turturro is here. We got him, the most sought after baseball fan in the entire country. Now that James Earl Jones is no longer with us, somehow Nick Turturro agreed to do our show. Nick, welcome to Nothing Personal.
Pleasure, David. Pleasure to talk to a knowledgeable baseball guy. That's always my cup of tea when I can talk shop with a guy that knows what he's talking about, who's also been involved in it, lives it, and loves it like me. Look at that hat you're sitting on. I love it.
This is the glove chair that you're seeing. This was a present that was given to me for building a ballpark.
Wow.
It's like going to Disney World. Is you built a major league ballpark on time and on budget, and all I got was this lovely glove chair. But it is very amazing. It's as good looking as it is uncomfortable.
Well, it still represents something. You know what I mean? Who cares what it looks like? You did
So
something.
that's the interesting thing, Nick, that I wanted to immediately start with, because what you represent and what you represent proudly, and we would is as being a baseball fan, and we would sit around the commissioner's office and have meetings about how to create baseball fans, how to create famous baseball fans, how to get people engaged in the game of all ages. And my view always was that you have to have a person with a story,
Hmm.
because their story is what tethers them to baseball or to anything. And true love lasts a lifetime, and true love starts with a story. So I want to start by asking, what is your origin story for how, because I know you gave an interview, you talked about you felt like it was your first makeout kiss, was your quote. And I really want to hear more about that, because I want to maybe speak to the woman or person who you had that kiss with, because you were ranking baseball on the way. But tell me about your origin story.
Yeah, because baseball was not big, huge in my family. My family really, my father liked boxing, my brother liked boxing, my brother John. He also fell in love with basketball with the Knicks in 1969. I started watching baseball a little bit. I remember my first sort of memory of baseball was the 1971 World Series, where I got to see the Orioles and Clemente with the Pirates. And for some reason, I saw it. I watched a little bit of it. I was kind of intrigued. So baseball was not introduced to me by anybody. It was something I discovered on my own. And then I went to a Met game in 72. And I think I was afraid of, I don't think, I know I was afraid of heights. And I was screaming, holding on to my chair. Take me down, take. I told all these kids, they were laughing because I didn't like heights. I didn't like a lot of things. Maybe I was a hypochondriac, but I
You
had
were
a lot.
only 10 years old at this
Yeah, I was
point.
only 10 because I'm born in 62. So 72, I don't remember who the Mets played. I just know I was in the mezzanine. I thought I was going to blow off the mezzanine. So my experience, I wasn't like in love with Shea Stadium or the Mets. And I'm from the end of Queens. So by landscape, I should have been a Met fan. I probably should have been. I was more Queens, Long Island. I didn't know the Yankees. Just by accident, I went to a Yankee game, I think in May or June, with the Boy Scouts of America. And I got to the Bronx, and I remember the ticket gate. And I just remember being a little bit scared and nervous because I was like, wow, the Bronx, it was like scary back. It was a South, it was all burnt out. It was very dangerous. So, but I didn't know anything about the Yankees, that they had been, sort of like beaten down. They were owned by CBS. They hadn't been like anybody that relevant for a long time.
This is
But
pre-Steinbrenner, folks. This is pre-Steinbrenner.
well, it's when Steinbrenner bought the team. So George actually bought the team in 73. So he actually, I believe he was the owner in 73. And
Oh,
then
I'm sorry. I misunderstood. I thought you were talking about 72 when you did this.
well, 72, no, was the Met game. 73 is when
Gotcha.
I went to the Yankee game. And I didn't know the Yankees. I didn't really know. I was just starting to find out what baseball was. I hadn't even played Little League because I was a good basketball player, but I didn't grow. I mean, I grew, but I didn't grow to the heights to be a good basketball player. So I didn't, I mean, I was a good athlete. So, but I went in Yankee Stadium. I walked in. I think I was in right field, and I saw the blue, and like I said, it's like maybe not your first makeout, because maybe when you meet your when you meet your love of your life. You're like, when I met my wife, I met her on a plane and whatever, and then went out on a date and I took her to the Fox lot, and I made out with her on a bench in front of the commissary, and it was something different. There was just something in the air. You can go with a lot of girls and a lot of guys and whatever it is, but there's always that moment where you go, oh my God, this is different. This is something. This is love. You know what I mean? I mean,
Was there a player involved in the moment for you at Yankee Stadium, or was it the aura of Yankee Stadium?
it was the aura of the ballpark. It was just being in that stadium. And then I started going a lot that June. I went with my friend Julius Pacheco, who was Puerto Rican. So he would took me to ball day, took me to bat day. I have a bat. Give me that bat. Let me show David that bat. Give me that Thurman Munson bat. Munson was sort of my guy. It's over here somewhere. And Mercer. There was something romantic about that Yankee team, or the Yankees, or for me, like, look at this. This is the bat from Bat Day. You can still see Thurman Munson's name a little bit, and they would give these bats out, and the whole stadium would hit the concrete. So I only really got to do one great Bat Day, but
Was that the exit giveaway, or were they still giving bats away upon entry? Because, of course, in my career, we had to do bat day as an exit giveaway so people wouldn't beat the crap out of each other with the bats.
yeah, no, this is enter, no exit.
Nice.
This is the 70s. This is 1973. So, I went to the set. I went to a lot of games that summer. I mean, I even went to a game where I had like a stiff neck. Somehow I went to the game. I woke up with one of these. I had all kinds of conditions, but I went to a lot of games that year. And in fact, that was the last year of the original Yankee Stadium. Steinbrenner decided to gut it, refurbish it, and then the Yankees played at Shea in 74 and 75. And I went to a lot of games in 74. And it was really weird watching the Yankees now looking back on it in 74 and 75. In 74, we had a good year. We actually were pretty close. I think we were in it till the end. I remember George, Doc Medage, all these guys. Mercer couldn't hit a home run at Shea Stadium. He was crying because he could hit home runs at Yankee Stadium at 25, 30. He hit 10 home runs. But they had Greg Nettles. They had a good general manager, Gabe Paul, who started making trades. They got Nettles in 73. 74, they got Chris Chambliss. They started improving. Then they traded Mercer for Bobby Bonds in 75. I remember all these trades, like, they're just in my head. And then in 76, they made a great trade. And I was like, they traded Bobby Bonds. I liked Bobby Bonds. I liked him a lot. He looked great. I liked Mercer too. But they traded Bonds. It was a great trade for Mickey Rivers, Ed Figueroa. And I was like, who's this Mickey Rivers guy? And he was like a catalyst. He's sort of like the guy that played for you, Chisholm, like that kind of player.
So he didn't play for me. He was after I was gone, but he was exactly the guy. There was a player on our championship team that because we beat your team, named Juan Pierre.
Yes, Juan Pierre.
And Juan Pierre was a leadoff guy for us. We traded for him, and we thought about Mickey Rivers when we made that trade, because it's a very similar athlete in terms of his ability to really be the spark plug for your team. People may not remember Mickey Rivers, but they should. And Ed Figueroa, while he may have been considered a throw-in, he was quite a serviceable arm who this day and age would be paid more than Seth Lugo. He'd be at $20 million a year easy today. Easy. Yeah. Ed Figueroa.
Yeah, the first Puerto Rican to win 20 ball games. Didn't pitch well in the postseason. He was one of those regular season guys, but he never pitched well in the playoffs or the World Series. He never pitched that well, but he was a good pitcher, serviceable. He came in the Mickey Rivers trade. They also made another great trade with George Doc Medage for Doc Ellis, who was a wild character, first guy to pitch a no-hitter on LSD. And if you know anything about
Not
Doc
the last.
the last. I mean, not the yes. But Doc was a character, was a hoot, and he was a winner with the Pirates, 71. I think he was on that Pirate team. And also they picked up Willie Randolph, who was kind of like, a big steal for them. He was a rookie kid because they had a second baseman. I think they had Rennie Stennett or something. The 70s was an incredible era. Incredible teams, incredible players. I mean, if you're a baseball fan and you don't know the 70s, go and check out the teams in the 70s, 72, 73, 74, the swinging A's, 75, 76. You had the big red machine. And so the Yankees in 76 came of age, and they won the pennant. And the night they won the pennant, Chris Chambliss had a home run. I was at the game. I was in high school, a freshman. My friend Tony Ingracia used to come up with tickets. They were
Did you
like,
chase him on the field?
yes,
Were you were
I
you on the
jumped in
field
left
in the
field.
base
I'm
paths?
one of those guys. And if you
Are you
watch the
kidding?
footage, yes, I was running for my life. I like came out of my body. I was like like you say, a virgin. I came out of my body and exploded. And I was running, and I grabbed turf. I took it home on the subway, and I was, like in tears, and I
So for people who don't know, back in those days, now it happens in college campuses now, which is something that I'm quite against because of safety. But that said, if you look at video, you would rush the field at Yankee Stadium, and there were players. Reggie Jackson famously ran over fans in
Mhm.
order to get back to the clubhouse because you'd tell your players, get back there as quickly as you can. And Chambliss was like, he was a Mack truck out there. And so I'm picturing you because you said that you are vertically challenged as I am, which I don't think you are, and you were young and sprite in high school, I would assume that you were neck and neck with Chris Chambliss. That's how I picture it, at least.
I was coming from left field. So when I was coming, I was flying from left field. And I actually found me in Sports Illustrated. I was on the field again for the Reggie home run, but that was ugly. The cops were waiting for us, and they smashed people in the head. I saw that, and then I retreated, and I didn't get hit by a club.
Well,
But
you were trespassing.
well, we were, but that was part of the day, the culture. You didn't think about it. They remember in '77, they were like, anybody don't come on the field. All the fans had their feet over the thing. They were just waiting, waiting. But '76 was just not planned. It wasn't even a thought in my head because it was like 6-3. Then George Brett hit a home run off Grant Jackson, 6-6. And then we were waiting a little bit for the bottom of the ninth. There was something going on. It was a delay. Then Mark Littell threw the first pitch. Then Howard Cosell like overstated Keith Jackson. It's gone or something. And then, we just exploded. It was just, I never forgot how that felt. And like for the Yankees, that was like their World Series because they got swept. They were dominated by Pete Rose. And talk about Mickey Rivers. Pete Rose was playing like 5 feet from Mickey. He kind of got in his head. The only bright spot was Munson had a great World Series. Sparky Anderson was trying to, demean him a little bit to bench, but
You sound
Munson.
like a savant to me in a very, and I say that with love and respect. Do you remember every episode, every acting job you've ever had with this level of detail?
No, not at all, not at all. I remember moments, just little moments of NYPD Blue, maybe moments of a few movies, just like in my life, just moments. But when it comes to this, because this is kind of like my love and just stands out. These are just I don't know, it's ingrained in me. I mean, I do
So
remember.
acting is not your love? Is baseball your true love and acting is your job? Is that how you look at it?
No, I mean, I definitely love acting, but I don't think I love it like baseball. I think baseball is sort of like, it's like my how I feel about my wife, like my true love. It's like no matter, I can't divorce her, or I can't divorce the baseball. I may have like times where I'm like, I'm sick of this shit. I'm just sick of it. I'm sick of like, I'm tired of what it does to me. It takes a lot out of me. And the next day, it's like a drug. I'm back.
Well, I want
I'm
to talk
back
about
here.
that for a minute, Nick, because baseball has made a lot of changes over your life, and some argue that the most recent changes with pitch clock and there's talk of automated strike zone, the golden at bat rule. I want to hear your opinion about that. Are you just a straight traditionalist that you don't want any changes to the game, or do you recognize as a fan that what baseball is trying to do is to increase its exposure to across demographics?
I understand what they're doing, and I don't know if I necessarily agree with a lot of the rules because I don't think there's anything wrong with baseball. I think there's something wrong with people. If you can't appreciate, if you don't have the attention span to watch this game, don't watch it. It's not for you. Then you're not a baseball fan. They shouldn't have to speed up a beautiful, beautiful game because there's something about going to a baseball game, having a conversation with somebody, talking to somebody, taking the time to, it's like watching a great movie. You got to have attention span
But
to
movies have
watch.
changed. Movies have changed over time.
What?
Movies have changed over
Yeah,
time.
and
The
not
way
for the
movies are
better. Not for the better. Okay?
Wait,
Not
tell me
for the
the rule. Tell me the thing in movies that bothers you the most. Is it CGI? Is it the fact that there's no more green screens? What is it about movies that have changed in your opinion that's negative?
well, streaming is one. I don't like that they've taken the movie experience away from people. Going to the movies is different from watching television or streaming or whatever they call that. Watching a series, over. There's
Binging.
binging. Just the illusion of when going to a movie or going to watching a game and we you can't have all access to every little thought. It's about taking that mystique away from the game. You had to pick up a newspaper. It wasn't on TV. You'd watch look at the box scores, read the newspaper. When you got a game on WPIX, it was only 40 games or 50 games. You'd have to turn on the radio. There was something romantic about it. There was something, it wasn't always, you couldn't get to it, and so when you got to it, it was special. When you went to a game, when you watched a game, it meant something. Now nothing means anything. Movies, TV, or you watch all these trailers and it's all like horror or blow up or, and I'm like, oh, that was great. I'm like, great? You don't know what great is. You would know what great is if it slapped you in the face. You have no idea what great is. You got to watch something for 3 hours to understand, wow, that was great. That was a great game. That was, the
So
investment.
you're not into the one act plays at all.
No, I like a good one act play, but
So
it's got to be good.
so this is where I want to get to. You're talking about two different things to me. What we're trying to do in baseball, you're a baseball fan. There's no doubt, but you're also born in a year that you are not the focus of any conversation that happens inside baseball. And I
Probably not.
say that with respect to you and me because I'm not either. The
Hmm.
focus is people born in 2000.
Right.
And the people born in 2000 don't look at the world the way you're talking about. They don't have that. And you've got a son. My guess is he's 25 years old. Let's just pick a number.
Hmm.
There's no way that your son has this romantic feeling the way you do about baseball and movies because he engages with content totally differently. We can't leave him behind or the sport will disappear.
Yeah, I get it. I understand that you got to move with the times.
I can tell you the biggest problem with baseball, in my opinion.
What is it?
So there's who supersides baseball outside of the realm of baseball, like on a celebrity level.
Is
Who?
this your son? Do all of
Yeah.
a sudden someone else is joining this sit down? I love it. At least bring him on camera and introduce him
Come on.
instead of a
This
voice
is
from
Nick,
God.
Nick, and who was a very good interview, a very opinionated guy.
What's
This
happening?
is Nick Turturro as well. Are
It's
you junior or are you the third?
third.
Third, I'm the
Okay. So are you a baseball fan?
big time.
But differently that your dad would not call you a baseball fan though.
Well, no, because there's like levels to it, right? So I follow the game year round, but my investment in it ends when the game's over. So I don't take it into my personal life or whatnot, and I don't live in the past. You have to move forward. But I do agree with certain things about how he feels with the game and like pitch clock. I don't agree with that. A lot of the shifting stuff is kind of ridiculous in my opinion. Um, and I think the biggest issue baseball has is that the game and the organizations are failing to create people who supersede the sport where those players themselves can draw eyes to the sport. So
Oh, we try. You're talking about superstars, but the problem is most of the superstars in baseball, and this make sure this comes out right, Coca. When they don't speak or not comfortable speaking English, It's hard to make them the face of the sport here, even though Spanish is the majority language and even though everybody speaks Spanish. But if you look at the commercials that are run, when we had Miguel Cabrera, they'd ask him to do commercials and they would say, just know you're not going to talk. And to him, that bothered him, so he didn't want to do it. And then you have superstars like Mike Trout who have no interest in really doing anything off the field because the schedule is so demanding where you're playing 162 games in 185 days. So creating these superstars is a bit harder than you think, though I'm open to suggestions, and so is the commissioner.
Well, yes, I believe, I agree with you that it is harder than we all probably think in theory of things. But at the end of the day, you know, depending where you play, I think plays a factor into it. But, and this is coming from somebody who's a fan who has friends in the sport as well that are playing pro right now. You have to take, there has to be some sort of form of entertainment approach to it that they have to understand that they're signing up for. And, for as upset I am with a guy like Juan Soto, he took the heel approach and he's willing to, take the heat. And
He was the heel the whole time. You guys got that wrong. When you hire Scott Boras, you're only in it for the money. And
yeah,
this was way before he joined the Yankees, the Padres. This is when he signed with the Nats. His agent's been Boras forever. So one of the things that I fear, Nick, and obviously Nick Jr., we're talking to every Nick Turturro we can find. The video that we played on Lebitard last week that everyone has seen that went viral. I understand that we're both looking at the star and the brains behind the video, which I love to see the family outing like this. But your view of Juan Soto is so misplaced to me because this was not an FU to you. This was a praying to the gods of money, which is where he was when he got to Yankee Stadium.
Mm-hmm.
sure.
Yeah.
But,
So I want to know why you went when you're thinking of content to do for your dad, which by the way, Nick, I would mention that all of your talk about being a traditionalist, you are trafficking in the world of people born in 2000. When
sure.
you do a video like you do, and your son is the cameraman doing it, you know the eyeballs on it are the people who are his age, not your age.
100%.
No, I get that. I get that because he's more relevant. I was more of a just cult guy watching games and talking to people on Twitter. He now has me commiserating with the world and sort of joining that. There's Santino, my grandson, another great swing.
Wait, is that Nick's son?
No, it's my
No, I don't
daughter's.
have a kid.
This is my grandson, and he's a great Yankee fan now too. He's a bit of a little protege. I don't know. He's really got a great swing. He's a lefty.
Wait, let's get back on subject.
But I hear what you're saying. That what I'm doing is really not in my neck of things, and it's true. It's sort of like I'm not in it to do for views and for shock value. I'm not in it for that. But I am passionate. I am a little wild, probably wilder than the regular fan. So he's taken that and he's kind of enhanced it. You would say because he's a genius with understanding what this generation likes. I have no idea. People relate to me on the street, in a ballpark, people want to watch a game with me. That I get. I can relate to anybody. But as far as social media and the world and this generation, I'm not that guy. But I can relate.
Why are you choosing to be? Explain to me then what's in your head as you agree to do these videos, or you see the reaction the videos get. What's the end game? Is it to get people to be baseball fans, to become Nick Turturro fans, or to become? Tell me in your head what's going on when you're losing your mind, as Dan Lebitard called you, almost in mania, doing this. Tell me what is in your head that you're being directed by your son, which must be really cool. But what's in your head as you're doing it?
You want me to speak for you?
Go ahead.
He's not going to admit it correctly, but Santino, we're in the middle of an interview.
Come here, buddy. Give me a hug.
He's not going to admit it directly, but how he is on camera is a pretty accurate version of himself. But I think because he's wanted to be accepted by so-called the cronies of the game for his passion, and he feels like people haven't given him his, I don't want to say due, but they haven't paid attention until say now or a couple years ago. His approach is basically in a way a cry, not a cry for help, but it's a version of real fandom for people that really are into it. He just so happens to be somebody that the public knows about through movies or whatever it may be, or now just even social media. But he's somebody, I guess, with a I guess it's not necessarily for him to gain fans, it's for him to have a platform for insane fans like
It's just
himself.
interesting to me that you chose a career, Nick, where rejection is the currency. Acting, it's all about rejection. That's
Yeah.
it.
Straight up.
And,
Yes.
and
Yes.
in sports, you chose to have this passion where 29 out of 30 fan bases every year are despondent beyond repair. So the odds of you ever being happy in your professional life, in your personal life, you've chosen only things where misery rules the day.
Yeah.
Why? Why
Because
do that?
I'm a guy that's most of the time miserable. I'm the guy that for whatever reason I find a little happiness here and there. You're right. And it's about rejection and it's about failure. And I'm not saying I thrive on that, but there is something to it that can I just be happy? Can I just win? So I live for those little moments. And I feel like the guy on the street is forgotten, and I sort of represent because now I have, people know who I am and stuff like that. But I've always been that guy. I've
But
always
why not
been.
represent the good? The Yankees won the pennant. They made it to the World Series, and your takeaway from the season that is being seen by millions of people is this sort of view of we got spurned by Juan Soto, and you know what? F him, bleep him, the Mets, and you're totally MFing the team in your backyard. Where is if it's for clicks, I'm in. But if it's to build baseball fans, you have so much knowledge of the history of the game. You could analyze the fifth inning in the World Series in a way that would teach people that Aaron Judge dropping the fly ball, that is a statistical anomaly. And
Mhm,
that's the beauty of baseball.
mhm.
But then your reaction, you play this character, and I'm trying to get to the bottom of your character versus your passion versus your truth. And I'm thinking that they've all melded into one now.
I, I
Mm,
I think the idea that you're wondering all three things is the reason why your people are watching, because it's the question, which is it? It's like he's a professional wrestling character. Is he blending truth with reality, or is he fiction with reality? We don't
Well, I
know.
want to know because I want to know whether this stops you from having more moments of joy. Because the Yankee season last year ought to have given you great moments of joy. And the last season, when Aaron Judge had the season he had a couple years ago, catching and passing Maris, there's moments of just incredible joy. That do they get washed away when the team gets eliminated?
no, 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 no. Those moments of joy when I have them, and when I was in Cleveland and we won that game in Cleveland. So, and then when I came home and watched the show, those moments like when Judge hit a home run of Class A, and then Stanton went, but we went ballistic. Those moments, I live for that. I live for that moment. I live for that moment of happiness. But when the moment is over, it's over. But I lived it. So I can't say there's no joy in it. There's a lot of joy in it. But the agony is part of it. It's
Do you
part of the.
need the agony to have the joy?
Do I
Is that
need
the
the
frame of
agony?
reference?
I mean, I don't need the agony, but it comes.
I think you
It
don't.
just comes.
I
I
think
mean,
you don't win without the
I
agony.
think you're right. You don't win without the agony, and there's something to losing. There's something that not you're a loser, but there's something to when you don't always win. It's more interesting to lose sometimes, so that when you do win, you know what that feels like. You can't always win, and in my business, I most of the time I don't win. There's so many disappointments, so many things that I missed by a hair. But I
What's the
had
biggest one? What's the biggest thing? What's the biggest role you missed by a hair that you
Well,
didn't get or you didn't
I
take?
almost had my own series one year on WB, a great sitcom, and they said it was the best pilot of the season, the best. Only Insanity it wouldn't get picked up, and then in the end, they analyzed it and tested it and put stupid laugh track when people were laughing, and some network guy went, well, like, people are laughing too loud. I said, what? You live for that. You live for people to laugh organically. You don't need to put in a freaking laugh track. And the show didn't get picked up, and I was heartbroken. And then Les Moonves saw the show and said, let's do another one, Nick. And I said, why not pick up this show? I have something great here. It's like a modern day honeymoon. It's all in the family. People could have seen my funny side in a way where I was on a drama. I wasn't allowed to. I was a Boy Scout. All of a sudden, I was, I had a chance to, like, have my own thing. You know what I mean?
What was the character? Was it a retired cop?
No, he was a big dreamer. He was a big dreamer. He was a guy who was like stuck in Queens at a diner. He was the head of the family. The father died. He was taking care of his siblings, and he was trying to get across the bridge to go to New York and become like a crooner, like a Sinatra. And he was just kind of a blue collar guy who had some big dreams. And the show was, this guy Dave Labatt wrote it, and it was really, really good. I was kind of like on to something. Then I did a show at CBS, and they murdered me. I did a show with this guy, Vic Levin. We co-wrote a show, and the guy goes, write it with me. I said, I'm not a writer. He said, yes, you are. You don't know it. And I wrote a pilot with him, and then they picked it up, and then they watered us down, like the watering down baseball. Oh, is he going to be likable? I said, I'm more likable when I'm angry.
Well, but you're also funny, though. If you think about it, after NYPD Blue, Nick, you got involved with Kevin James and Adam Sandler. So you were trying to you were trying to show people a different side, no?
Yeah, I mean, I did. Adam Sandler was the guy that kind of blossomed that, because on paper, I had very little lines in The Longest Yard. And then Sandler, the first thing, a credit to Adam, when he sees people that are funny, he goes, dude, you're hilarious. You're going to kill and all this. And he kept giving me lines during the movie. He was like, have Turturro say this, have him say that. He was like handing the ball off. If he knows you could score and you could deliver comically, and I can, and people they've seen some of it, and that character is like a legendary character, but I'm not the star of that movie. So I don't always, on the street, people are like, that's the funny guy. The funny thing is, like, I am the man on the street. I'm the baseball fan on the street. And even in my business, on the street, people go, you're the guy. I'm like, but not really. I've never gotten that ink in the business. I've never really I've gotten chances, but I've never gotten that shot, that real.
Is there jealousy? Is there sibling rivalry with your brother John, also an actor?
Oh, no, not at all. No, John is he's the man. He's the man, and he's always been like an idol of mine, stuff. But I think a little bit with my brother, when I first got on television, I think it was a little jarring for him. And one time we were doing a thing on Nightline, and he's very meticulous. He didn't know it was like about brothers. I didn't ask to be in it. We almost had like an argument one time on camera, and they were like, what's wrong with him? I go, I don't know. He was like, well, I didn't know. I didn't know it was about us. And I said, hey, man, I didn't want to be, they asked me to be in it with you. So, I'm like, but
so were you an actor first, or was he?
I used to sing when I was a young kid. I was in a couple of musicals. So I was performing a little bit too. And so was he a little bit at the end of high school. But he probably got into it professionally before me. He was in college. He was really good. He came out of college. He was struggling. I was a doorman. Then he went to grad school at Yale. And then when he got out of Yale, his career started to take off. He won like an Obie off Broadway on a play called Danny in the Deep Blue Sea. But I was big supportive. Everybody thought I was a kind of a natural. I could sing and I could act a little bit. I let it go. I was a theater major. I was a doorman on Central Park South. And then,
which building? Later, I love Central Park South. That's the marathon route. That's the between mile 25 and 26 is Central Park South. And I'm always only walking by that point. So I have plenty of time to engage with the doormen.
That's right. And I was the guy on that street on the corner of 59th and 6th. I mean, I met everybody there. Building? What?
What building?
St. Moritz on the 50 Central Park South. The plaza was down the corner, the Parkland, the Essex House. You know the route.
Wait, do you still have the uniform?
I have.
That would be amazing if you would wear like the hat out like on Halloween.
Well, I'll tell you, I had a pilot deal at HBO with John, because John had seen my pilots. And then years later, I said, would you want to pitch something with me, my doorman thing? And because I thought it'd be a great series, a revolving door of all these wild guys and guests coming in and out every week. And HBO gave us the development, and he was like, I'll write it. And then he took forever to write it. And then by the time he wrote it, they like forgot about it. So it never got picked up. Then we had another one at FX, and he did the same thing.
Do you get pissed off at him at Thanksgiving? Like, are you like, John, man, I asked you to help me, and you're out here doing Severance. You're out here starring in David Samson's #1 film of all time, which incidentally he does in a movie called Fearless
Oh, wow.
directed by Peter
I remember
Weir.
that. Yes.
I
No,
watch
no,
a
I mean,
movie. I watch a movie every day, Nick, and I review a movie on Nothing Personal every day. And I keep a list of my top 100 movies for the public to see. And Fearless has been my #1 movie since the moment I saw it, and it's never stopped being my #1 movie of all time.
wow. Well, no, I mean,
You should review Anora.
you should review modern movies too. Have you seen Anora?
Honora is just now being watched. That'll be my movie that I watched today.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It's funny
Because
you
John,
say that.
he loved it. John loved it. He
We
said
saw it.
he goes, it says there's a lot of sex, John. So he likes movies with sex.
Oh,
So
well, there is. It is
yeah,
about a sex worker, so I
yes,
think it's clear that
yes.
there would be sex.
But it's a good film, a really wild movie. This guy, Sean Baker, wrote a couple of other movies, and he's a really interesting filmmaker. He wrote it, he directed it, he casts it, he edited it. He made this other movie called Red Rocket about an ex-porn star.
Yep.
So I think he has a fascination with the, sexual content and stuff, but he uses like a lot of real people. This is a wild movie that takes place in Brooklyn, Brighton Beach, a Russian Armenian story. Girl's a dancer and meets this ridiculous.
Wait, are you an investor in this movie?
Me?
Yes.
No, I'm just pitching the
Just a
movie.
fan.
I'm just a fan.
Just a
I'm
fan.
I'm still a movie fan. Even when I got into movies, even like baseball, I'm when I tell people I'm just a fan. Remember, baseball could use a guy like me because I think I could speak to the hardcore fan and I could speak to the people that are not that interested because I've had people watch games with me and they'll go, you know what? I didn't even like baseball till I watched it with you. And I said, isn't that something? Isn't that something? If we could sort of take those baseball wants to help increase fanship, they could use a guy like me. I'm not pitching myself, but I am kind of pitching
You're
myself.
totally pitching
I'm
yourself.
just saying, hey, they could use a guy that.
But how do you want to be used? Do you want to get free tickets? Do you want a credential? Tell me what it is. Do you want a World Series ring? I have a few extra from when we beat the Yankees in 03.
I don't want
one
that.
of those.
It'd have to be a ring from like the 70s or something.
Do you know that George Steinbrenner was pissed off that we used the Yankee logo? I have the rings right over here off camera. And, well, they may not be here in case someone comes into the house. But I will tell you that we used the Yankee logo, and he almost stopped production of the ring. He tried to stop production of the ring, and he threatened to sue us, George did. And we said, then go ahead and sue us because we used the Giants logo, the Cubs logo, and the Yankees logo in our ring.
So you wanted to use the Yankee logo?
Because we have our logo 4 and the Yankee logo 2. Because that was the final score of the series of the World Series in 03.
Well, isn't that your prerogative to do that? I mean,
well, no, it's his logo. I don't know. We don't own his logo. That's his
he-
intellectual property. Every team in baseball owns their own intellectual property.
yeah, he wouldn't allow that.
He did
wouldn't
not, but we did it anyway.
You did it?
Oh, of course we did.
What does it look like?
It looks like the NY. We have the NY in our ring.
In the ring.
Yes.
That's pretty cool.
That is cool.
It was such a good time beating the Yankees. We were the last team to celebrate a World Series win in the old Yankee Stadium. It was the
That's
2003 right. Florida Marlins.
I was there that night. It was
Were you October 25th, 2003 when Beckett threw a 5-hit shutout? You were there?
Yes, I was there. It was a bad night.
At what point did you know you were screwed? At what point?
Well,
like
I'll
third
tell you when
inning?
I knew I was screwed before the game because my friend Anthony Ingracia attacked me for being a few minutes late. He was babysitting. We had almost like a fist fight. We had and I went to the game. Yeah, and I went. Well, I still love the guy, but we went to the game, and I was just so hurt by that. We had this like bad argument fight, and I was like, we're done. We're not winning this World Series. I just knew when we lost. It was game. I think it was 2-2 or something like
You
that.
talking about the
Or
walk-off, Alex Gonzalez, the walk-off
yeah,
off
and
Jeff Weaver, when Jeff
yeah,
Weaver walked off the mound with his head in his ass?
yeah. I said the Yankees just were they were flat. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was the 7-game series against the Red Sox, but they didn't have that spunk in that series. I mean, nothing against the Marlins, but I just that night had a bad feeling, and it carried over into that 2-0 game or whatever it was. What was it, like 2-0,
The
something like
final
that?
of game 6 was 2-0.
Yeah, the Yankees didn't hit for nothing. Beckett dominated
Sounds
them.
like Game 5 this year. You just knew it was
No,
going
well,
down
game
the stretch.
5, we were blowing
No.
them out of the ballpark. That was
Totally
different.
different. Nick,
I've
what
never
are you
seen
talking
anything.
about?
I've never
No,
seen
hold
anything.
on. I'm saying
No.
the vibes before the game.
No, I actually had a good feeling going into that game.
I knew you were.
But then he didn't sit with me, and he was mad, and he didn't want to come to the game. I took my wife to the game. I can't throw my wife under the bus for him. Anyway, you should have came and not been a baby. You should have been in the ballpark. You were at game 1. I didn't go to game 1. I pouted.
Why didn't you go to game 1?
Because I pouted like a baby, and we lost that game.
Yeah.
Just like you pouted, and we lost the 5th game. So
No.
take some responsibility. You weren't there, and you should have been there.
You got to control your family, Nick. You got to be better, because I am now holding you solely responsible for the loss to the Dodgers.
Yeah, I am partly responsible.
No,
I do
solely, not partly. Solely.
What do you mean solely?
You couldn't control your own son's pouting.
Well, you know what happened was he told me we had tickets for game 1. He told me we had tickets. And then right before the game, hours before the game, he's like, we don't got it. We don't got it. So I was like, what?
No,
we have no tickets now?
That's not what happened.
I was like, I said,
Can I hear the real story from your son, please?
Here's the real story, okay? As you know, this was the hardest World Series to go to as far as buying a ticket. He doesn't like to buy tickets.
I do.
No, you don't.
Ooh, wait, you only go free?
He doesn't like to buy tickets.
Terrible.
Well, basically, I had a friend reach out to me and said, I have an internal connect. Send me a credit card 2 days before the thing. I said, no problem. We didn't get our confirmation. The day of the game, the guy said, my guy flaked. So I was looking to find an alternative to get into the game. I have never been to a World Series. On top of that, we had tickets to Game 6 in 2009 when the last time they won and clinched, and he didn't want to fly to New York, and I was a child, like 9 or 10 years old, so I didn't have a say in being able to go. This time, I'm 25, and I'm like, dude, I want to go to this game. You are not making it happen. You're not looking to find an alternative. I'm going with or without you. I went, got into the game, had a great time. They got walked off. It was what it was. No problem. He decided not to go because he didn't want to pivot. Game 5. Now, from my perspective, I want to hear your opinion on this. When he's getting content at the game, do I need to sit next to him to capture the moments? Yes or no?
100% yes.
Okay. I told everybody in our house, this is not a group excursion. There were 6 people that wanted to go to this thing. I said, this is not just like we're getting tickets for everyone to go.
This is business.
Yes, this is business. We are telling a story here. Every game, I have to be there because even when something happens in the moment, I'm somehow pulling out the phone and it's posted within seconds of it happening. So we go to game 3, we sit together, we lose, no big deal. There really wasn't much that happened. Game 4, we go. I'm capturing all the moments that he's going crazy viral for, from the moment off on the subway. No, before the game, on the subway, off the subway, in blah, blah, blah. 6, 7 videos, all viral that night. Game 5 comes. Because of all the heat, somebody wanted to get him a ticket to the game. The guy ends up buying him 2 seats, and he takes my mom. And I said, well, I guess I'm not going to the game because what's the point if I can't sit next to you? Nobody's going to shoot it like me. Nobody's
going to sit in the parking lot.
I got him a ticket.
Where?
I got him a
was
ticket.
I sitting next to you?
No, but we can make a move.
No, but
Nick, I got to tell you, it feels like you're not treating your director properly. That's number 1. Number 2, he sounds like that he may be the hardest director and the most intimidating director you've ever been with, and you've worked with Spike Lee amongst others. It seems like your hands are full.
Yeah. It's hard because he's a bit of a douche, and he knows how to be a jerk.
No, but
and he likes to play that part. and he doesn't care. He wants to get what he wants at any cost. I should throw my wife under the bus. For this or for that. I should, it's his way or the highway.
but you have
I'm
to-
like,
but-
I
but-
can't be
but-
intimidated
Is
by
there
a
any
kid.
director you've worked with that's not that way?
I mean, they're not all that way, but some of them are control freaks. Some of them are bullies. Like I said, I mean, he definitely wants what he wants at any cost. And sometimes I got to pay a price for, his what he wants.
But it's not about what I wanted. It's not about us sitting in front row seats. We could have sat anywhere in the stadium. The bottom line was, if I'm not next to you at the games and you have failed to understand that, none of this happens. Let's be real. You're probably not even on this show if I don't sit next to you.
So be it. So be
So
it.
that's the
I
reality.
must tell you that what's funny about this is what's happening right now, and this is really, Dan Lebatard would be proud. This has been like Turturro family therapy. I feel like we're making great progress. We're saying things that we don't like saying when the camera's not on. We're talking about, you keep referring to your wife, and I'm going to get right down into your family business. Is your mother his wife, or are there
Yes.
two different women we're talking about here?
My mom.
Yes.
So you
Yes,
keep saying, am I going to throw my wife under the bus? I'll bet you $1 to a Thurman Munson bat that your wife would say, I want the ticket going to my son, who is going to be with his dad and working with his dad. So I think that you're...
That's how it was. Then all of a sudden, everyone's Yankee fans.
That's how it was. But there are times where I will be faced with something in my marriage that she might say, well, then why did you bring me? Why am I here? This is the woman I love, I sleep with. I cannot become divorced because he has an agenda. And yeah, he wants views. He wants that. I get it. But my ultimate thing is I'm watching the freaking game. Okay? I am like, no matter whether I blow up or I don't, I am there to get a W. I'm there to, and in the course of it, it's become something. I love it. I do like it. I'm still what I more importantly, the Yankees needed to win that game, whether people will see me or not.
Yeah,
you should have been in the ballpark.
Yeah, but think about this, bro. The game,
what's more important, you making the video or the Yankees winning the game?
For me, making the video.
Yes, and for me, it's about winning the game.
Let me just point out two things that are not constructive. One, you called him douche. Two, you called your dad bro and dude. So I think that we need to have some sort of language help here. And I think there needs to be mutual respect, and there should be fewer douchebaggery and bro and dudes. That would be my one suggestion. And you're not paying me for this. And I will send my Venmo, because I am in this for the money and the business and the views and the clicks. And if the W's come, great. So I just want to let you know that that's where you should start.
Listen,
I agree.
I would agree with you on my language, but he picks his moments when he wants to be one of the guys and then when he wants to be dad. So if you're going to be one of the guys, we're talking like one of the guys. But I agree with your point to there. My whole thing was just, bro, like, we're telling a story here. Like, we're just telling the story.
It's like a verbal tick, Nick. You just dropped another bro and dude.
If you
can't stop.
If you go to his Instagram for that game 5, notice there's a gap in the 5th inning that you don't see any reactions, which would have been realer than his Juan Soto reaction, which sent him super viral. So,
but that's what happened was I went to the stupid restaurant.
But it doesn't matter. I wasn't with you. If I was with you still would have got it.
Here's my suggestion. I think you two should keep going, because I love this. The father-son angle, the baseball angle. I think that the two Nicks are stuck with each other like Nick squared. And I think that I'm going to have a talk with mom and your wife, because she's got to give you guys some room to breathe, because you guys got to do your thing. And you can't be worried about divorce every time we're trying to make content or you're trying to be viral. You got to have something else in mind, like a Caribbean cruise or something.
Yes.
That's my suggestion.
True. That's good. Maybe finding a balance somewhere.
I think you should.
I take care of things more and make everybody feel, I always have to be aware of things, because when I'm not, then I get, chastised, or I get
Trample.
like, yeah, like you forgot I was there. And
I
this
could
guy's like,
talk to you forever, you two. We're already out of time. You've been here for an entire show. We thought you were just gonna do a quick segment, and this is the whole show. It became the Turturro family show. We had
well,
3 generations of Turturros.